Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Keisha McKnight, one of my subscribers, for this story. Y'all are like some mini detectives for real. America is running out of money. I mean, who knew? Who knew we would pull up some stories like this? But it's true. So this came out July 12th, 2019, CNN Politics. U.S. government is running out of money faster than expected, Mnuchin warns. Wow. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin on Friday issued a warning, Friday, that the U.S. government is at risk of running out of cash sooner than expected. In a letter to Democratic House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Mnuchin wrote that the U.S. might default on its obligations as soon as early September. That's not far from now. This is what, July? Before Congress returns from its summer recession. Based on updated projections, there is a scenario in which we run out of cash in early September before Congress reconvenes, Mnuchin wrote in a letter. The federal government has not been able to borrow money since March. Ooh, that don't sound good. When congressionally mandated borrowing limits went back into force. The U.S. Treasury, which is facing a growing deficit, thanks in part to President Donald Trump 2017 tax cuts, had said it had enough cash to last until the fall. Pelosi and Mnuchin have spoken 3 times this week in efforts to jumpstart stalled budget and debt ceiling negotiations, and multiple sources say the new default projections have provided an accelerant for those efforts. Mnuchin and Pelosi are likely to speak again Friday. Pelosi told reporters that she has not yet read Mnuchin's letter to Capitol Hill, but she knew it was coming. In his letter, Mnuchin called on Congress to restore borrowing power by increasing the debt ceiling before Congress departs for its regular August recess. Wow. Y'all need a recess? You don't do shit anyway. They don't do nothing. But I just found this very interesting. All right, let me see if I can play this video here.
Hey everybody, it's Jake Tapper from CNN State of the Union and factcheck.org, and this week we're going to take a look at President Trump's comment that deficits seem to be coming down. Take a listen to the president making this claim in February.
I don't know if you noticed, but deficits seem to be coming down. And last month it was reported, and everybody was surprised, but I wasn't surprised.
So is that true? Are deficits going down? No, that's not true. It wasn't true in February when he made those remarks, and it's even less true today. First, we should note that the White House did not respond to our request for clarification or any backup data. But it seems that the president may have been talking about the December data that showed a relatively low deficit, $13.5 billion, compared to the same month the previous year. But President Trump was cherry-picking the data because the 2 months previous to December 2018, October and November 2018, had a combined deficit of $305 billion. In total, those 3 months, October, November, December 2018, showed a deficit that was more than 42% higher than in the same 3 months the previous fiscal year. And if you take a look at data for the first 4 months of the fiscal year, which was just released this week, the deficit's actually 77% higher compared to 2018. So why was that December number so relatively low? Well, experts say it's likely because of the government shutdown. So it seems by looking at the recent data that the deficit is actually going up. Experts also told us, however, that you can get a better picture of the deficit increases by looking at larger trends as opposed to these smaller sample sizes. And when you do that, when you look at these larger trends, it's pretty clear, a bigger picture, that the deficit continues to increase. And according to the Nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office, they are forecast to keep increasing. The federal deficit in fiscal year 2018 was $779 billion. That's up almost 17% from the previous year, fiscal year 2017. And if you look at the deficit as a percentage of GDP, the statistic that economists say paints the clearest picture, that will average around 4.5% over the next decade. The average for the last 50 years is below 3%. So why are deficits going up? Well, experts say it's because of the president's tax cut bill in large measure. According to the Congressional Budget Office, $164 billion of the 2018 deficit is attributable to the 2017 legislation. And the revenue loss from the tax cut bill will have an even bigger impact on the deficit this year. The Congressional Budget Office estimates that the deficit will rise another 15% this year and will hit $1 trillion by 2022. Now, the Trump White House contests that assessment and those projections. They say that the economic growth will more than make up for the loss in revenue. Take a listen to Larry Kudlow. He heads the president's National Economic Council.
So they have had a very low growth estimate in response to Trump policies on taxes and deregulation, and we've had a much higher one, about a 1 percentage point differential, more or less. We're at 3, they're at 2, more or less.
But others, including nonpartisan experts on the Federal Reserve Board, don't share Larry Kudlow's rosy economic forecast. They believe that growth will actually go down to 2% as soon as next year. A reminder to all you politicians out there, you're perfectly entitled to your own opinions, not your own facts. I'm Jake Tapper from CNN State of the Union and factcheck.org.
I'm not surprised. You know how many times Trump is fact-checked and what he said.
The House Oversight Committee held a hearing today on family separations. And
you know how many times Trump is fact-checked and what he is saying is actually not true at all? It happens all the time. Happens so often. After a while, when he opens his mouth, I'm just assuming he's lying. He does it so much. Him along with a lot of people in his cabinet. They just don't tell the truth at all. I think that's just the norm when it comes down to his administration. But then on the other hand, what president don't get into office and lie? But Trump just seems to be a lot more excessive than many of the ones before him. This is deep. This is really something. And I think it's definitely worth following to see what's going to, happen in this situation. But ladies and gentlemen, please tell me what you think. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell. And I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.